What's up guys, Iron Fist here, back at it again with another vlog. I made a video recently, a few weeks back, announcing that I am changing my streaming platform to Mixer. That has been canceled, but it's not for the reason you think. Mixer is perfectly fine. It's actually a fantastic streaming platform and I really enjoyed it while I was there. And I'm pumping the brakes on switching for now. And so the fact that there might still be a possibility in the future where I end up on Mixer anyway, make sure you hop over there to Mixer, mixer.com/IronFistVGP if you still want to show support over there. I don't plan on streaming over there, but I do, if you want to go ahead and build the platform for it so that if I do ever end up there, you're there ready to go, I appreciate it. But now to the reasons as to why I am. You've probably seen right in the thumbnail the logo on the bottom, and if you don't know what that is, that's Google Stadia's logo. Now, I know some of you either A, right off the bat, there's three impressions on this right now. First, either A, don't know what I'm talking about, and I'll get into what it is. I highly recommend going and watching the hour-long keynote. It's like an hour and 17 minutes long, but skip the first 16 minutes, and like the last 3 minutes is just a replay of the trailer. It's not anything you have to watch at the beginning and end, but it is almost an hour long worth of stuff that I highly recommend watching to get the full details. I'm going to briefly go over it, or you might be able to find those details somewhere else from somebody, and then come back to this video as for my explanation. The second reaction is you're going to say, oh, okay, yeah, I seen that earlier. That's really dope. The third reaction is going to be what most people are, and that's super skeptical about Google Stadia. It is a stream-based gaming platform, and the biggest reason most people are skeptical is because people have attempted that in the past and it's not worked. And it's completely understandable for you to be skeptical on it, because I am too. But I'm looking at it from the other side of things. Instead of preparing myself for it not to work, I'm not expecting it. The best thing to do is expect the worst, but prepare for the best. But prepare for, it's hard to word that. Prepare for either, obviously. You want to be prepared if the worst happens and expect the worst, but you still need to be prepared for if what is being said is going to happen does. And so let me give a brief breakdown of what Google Stadia is. And it's basically their new gaming platform that requires absolutely no console hardware at all. No PC, nothing. It doesn't require any of that because it is all web-based, based on Google's cloud servers. And one of the biggest skeptics right off the bat is people are like, let's just put it out here. If you're questioning Google's server stability and being able to implement something like this, the only response I have is two words. It's Google. And now you're not expected as a day-to-day person that's nothing to do with this kind of stuff, expected to really know how their server's integrated and how it's built. But if you know anything about networks at all, they are like one of the, if not the top of the line when it comes to their network and infrastructure that they have built. I work for an internet service provider. Again, I don't announce who it is, but we're one of the major ones in the United States, and even our network and our infrastructure implemented, it's like this to Google worldwide. Like it is. Google is massive. So let's go ahead and get that off the table for you doubting that they can handle it. And this isn't a video of me over the top defending it, because like I said, I'm still more than willing to accept that if it doesn't work the way they say it will, then so be it. But basically the logic behind it, to kind of summarize it, is it's all web based, and basically you, like for instance, the example, you're watching a YouTube video and it's a trailer for a new game that came out. Well, there's going to be a button there that says play, and according to them, in less than 5 seconds, you'll be playing that game through Chrome's platform, right there, streaming it. And the biggest complaint with streaming platforms in the past, streaming gaming platforms, is latency. And so if you press X to jump, or A to jump, whatever console you're at, or game you're playing, you expect it to jump almost immediately. And if it even takes half a second, not even a full second, half a second of a delay, that's enough to destroy it. Especially games like shooters where you have to aim. Really any game nowadays, you have to at least control some form of a cursor that you're looking at. And if you take your thumb and you move it right, or you take your mouse and you move it right, and then a second later you actually turn, that's unplayable. I mean, with today's standards, it's just unacceptable. And that's the big reason why streaming platforms have never made it. If this was and I'm looking at a bag of Ethernet fittings right now for an example, but if this was some kind of company named EtherFit, and sorry if there's a company out there named that, not trying to throw shade at you at all, and they said they were coming out with this, they would go in one ear and out the other. I wouldn't even think twice about it. But this is Google, and if those words aren't enough to make you take it seriously, then you're not ever going to take it seriously. So there's nothing I can say to convince you. I mean, you should already know what Google is. You're watching this video. Some of you may not even know, which I don't know how you wouldn't, but YouTube is owned by Google. Google is the father company to YouTube and a lot of other things. And their servers hosted for tons of different companies that you wouldn't even think had anything to do with Google. It's all on their infrastructure. And this is all cloud-based, and basically it eliminates the console. They do all the hard work on their end at their servers that host these games. And there's plenty of arguments that I've heard that are perfectly understandable. Like, what if a server goes down, the game's gone? What about old games? You won't be able to play retro games anymore because if they decide, hey, we're going to remove that out of there because nobody plays it anymore, it's been 15 years, those retro games that you've always loved are gone. But realistically, I think what would happen is they'd be able, but technology went on, it wouldn't require that entire thing anymore. They could compress it down to this and cram it in with a bunch of other retro games on that same one and keep the same stability that it needed. That's my idea to shut down that argument. I think that's what's going to happen. Just for if you didn't know, like an Xbox One, an Xbox 360, that entire console is on one chip inside an Xbox One. Just to tell you how much technology can compress things over years. That's the whole point. Is in technology innovation is being able to make things easier on a day-to-day basis for different tasks and hobbies that we have. And like that eliminates that problem for me personally. I don't think that'll ever be a problem. But back to what it is. It's stream-based gaming platform, and basically the biggest question is the pricing. I think as long as it works fine, I'll probably get on board with whatever the pricing is because there's not going to be a console. And so I personally, it's probably going to be subscription-based. And nobody knows yet if it's going to be, do I still have to pay $60 a month or $60 for each game that comes out or however much. But I have to pay my membership through them, which is what we're all used to now. You got to pay for PlayStation Plus. You got to pay for Xbox Live, Nintendo Online. You got to pay for all of these services in order to access the online features on those consoles and be able to play multiplayer with other people. Something we're all used to. Another idea that some people have had is it going to be is it going to be a subscription service where if I'm paying so much to them a month, do I have access to these games without having to buy them? And one thing I thought about was like, well, there could be tiers to that, almost like an a la carte system where like, hey, you get 10 games a month if you're paying this level of payments, and you can only choose like the games once a month or something like that. Like, and if the month ends, you're like, I never played that game. I really want to try this one. Let's swap it out. That way you're not doing that constantly, because otherwise, why would you ever pay for a higher tier? Or you can pay like, I don't know how much, like a platinum amount to have access to any game that comes out at any time. You can play them at any time, which probably wouldn't be worth it, but some people who just have it to throw around might say, great, I don't ever want to have to worry about it, so if a game comes out, I got it. They'd have to do some kind of like exclusive, you get it days early and stuff on premium and stuff like that to make it actually worth it for everyone. But like I said, no one knows how their billing is going to work for it yet. They could go completely shock us all, and it's completely free. You just have to buy their special controller. I highly doubt that, because they're going to need money to support these servers that are going to be hosting, and I doubt the money from the developers, their portion of that comes in is going to be enough to single-handedly cover that part and still allow them to make enough profit for this to make sense. And so I think ultimately it's going to be, I mean, my guess, monetarily wise, is going to be some form of a subscription service. We're just not sure yet if that's going to include the games or just going to be the membership alone. If it's just the membership alone, they're going to have to figure out what that sweet spot is, because they might say, hey, we can charge a little bit more because you don't have to buy a console with us. But on the flip side, the argument is, yeah, we had to buy a console, but we only had to buy it once. If we're paying you monthly, eventually that would have paid a console off months ago already. And at the same time, if a console breaks, you got to buy a new one. But on the other hand, it's always there. There's no console, so it's reliable. And the only thing that ever affected is if a server went down. And believe me, I promise you, Google has backups. I doubt you'd ever even notice a server going down. It would take some major outage to cause something like that, because they probably have so many different sub-locations where if this one shuts down, everything transfers over to this one as a backup. I mean, that's just standard networking, and they're the highest level of it. So I guarantee you they have something like that in place. So they probably have some that literally have nothing on them that are just for that purpose. So the reliability of it's great. The biggest thing is, can they do it? And if everything works the way it's supposed to, this is going to be an absolutely amazing platform. And I'm going to explain to you why I'm pumping the brakes for a second on switching to Mixer, because I want you guys to understand, like, well, you're probably thinking, well, still, what's this got to do with Mixer? Like, why would you not go to Mixer? Just stream it to there. If you haven't already paused the video and went and watched details on this, or haven't already heard about it, Google Stadia, as expected, is very, very, very heavily intertwined with YouTube. Google owns YouTube. It makes perfect sense for them to integrate their gaming platform with their one of their main companies that they have. And so it's fully intertwined, interactive. I mean, the games literally can launch from YouTube. You watch a video on YouTube, you can go there, click play, and you're there. I mean, just off a link. You can send somebody a link to it. I'll get more into that in a second. You can send somebody a link to it, and there's plenty of different things to look at and that play a factor into all of this. So, but right off the bat, the biggest thing is the capabilities that this has. So, if you're not familiar with teraflops, I'm not going to pretend that I'm over the top familiar with it, but from my basic understanding of it is it's the power that the console runs at and its maximum capabilities of what it can handle. And an Xbox One X runs at 6 teraflops, or not runs at, but is capable of up to 6 teraflops. And like I said, I apologize if I'm not wording all this correctly. I'm not going to pretend I know exactly what it means, but a pretty basic understanding is what it's capable of doing. How much can you bench press? It can bench 6 teraflops. Is the easiest way to explain it. And PS4 Pro can bench, if we're keeping the analogy going, 4.1 teraflops. Well, this is capable of 10.6 teraflops, which is both of those combined and then some. And so the limitations that studios are set at are gone. I mean, like, there's almost limitless. Like, obviously there's an endless. It seems endless, but obviously there is an end, but I can't seem to fathom or imagine what that would be. Because there is so much innovation that can come with this. Any and every game that you've ever thought about, like, it's just, you'd have to watch it. Even their graphical thing, being able to add an image filter and it changed the entire color scheme that the game works on, is a huge tool for developers to use in order to get their graphical style into a game a lot better. And so at least their shades and stuff like that to make the rest of the tuning up a lot easier and save a lot of time for them to develop the games. And their limitations of what they can do are literally at the very least doubled. I mean, if you have, or like almost doubled, if it's Xbox and they're maxing at 6, you're at 10.6 now, which is just ridiculous. The amount of things that they can do, like I said, are near endless. And if you've seen the movie Ready Player One, and good God, I hope the world doesn't get that bad outside of the goggles, because it looks awful in that movie, everything outside of what's called the Oasis. But if this works the way they want it to, that is one major step into something like that. And it's only a matter of time before somebody does, with how much virtual reality is just flying and advancing like crazy. If you have everybody on this cloud-based gaming platform and they're all using these servers and they're all tied together, it would only be a matter of time before they had something like an Oasis. And if you're not familiar with the movie, it's this giant open world that everybody's a part of that plays, and you can go hang out with your friends and just do absolutely nothing, or you go on missions with them on this random part. I was talking to my buddy, and like one thing he's talking about is like, imagine you just walking around and then like here's a door to go play GTA 5. So you just open a door and there you are in Grand Theft Auto world, whatever you want to call it. And like if stuff like that happened, like I don't think you would see like Grand Theft Auto 6 or Elder Scrolls 6, or sorry that both examples are number 6. But stuff like that where they'd probably just come out with something like Elder Scrolls Online and it constantly gets updated. Because there's no, like, just the sheer possibility of this is just, I don't think anybody's even thought about the fact that this stuff can happen. And again, I'm approaching all this with the ideal that it's all going to work the way they say it will, and which is a very good chance that it won't. But if it does, you want to be a part of that, and I'm going to explain why. Because right off the bat, if this works properly, you're going to run into situations where, like, kids right now, like, look at Fortnite. It's targeting younger audiences because younger and younger and younger are starting to play video games. I played them since I was 3, but it's now no longer a thing of the past where, like, it's honestly rare to find somebody that doesn't play some form of a video game, whether it be on a phone app or a console or a PC, something, they play it. And it's honestly more rare to see somebody that doesn't than does. And it used to be the other way. People are like, oh, God, all he does is play video games. Well, that's all anybody does now. And so it's to be something that's innovative and the fastest growing hobby in human history. I don't know of one that's faster. Like genuine hobby, like obviously like using a cell phone or something like that. Yeah, obviously. But the one of the fastest growing hobbies in human history, and jump at the forefront and have something like this that I didn't even think was coming for years, ready and supposed to release this year. Nobody knows the timetable yet, but I'm imagining fall or Christmas time. I mean, they're going to target the holidays, so why wouldn't they? That's what everyone else targets every year. And so if you know anything about marketing, they're going to shoot for that time zone. Time frame a little bit before Black Friday hits. Some of the stuff can drop when Black Friday comes, and they can reamp all their marketing again come Christmas time for gifts. That's how all major marketing plans end up working out. And so basically, something we thought was years away is going to be here as fast as this year. And it may start off slow, and it might be years before it, but what's going to happen is, like, kids are going to stay up all night playing the game. They're going to wake up in the morning and play it before they go to school. And then they're going to be at lunch table playing, and then one kid over there, like, hey, man, come on, let's play. He's, sorry, man, my PlayStation's at home. And they're like, you don't have it on Stadia? Like, what are you doing? And then that kid's going to go home to his parents and say, hey, guys, I really want to buy this game on Stadia. And the parents are immediately like, oh, God, what are we buying now? And from my understanding, you need the subscription service. But if you go full front into it, you're canceling the other. So that's already money taken care of there that you usually pay that's now being put here. Buy a controller you don't even need. You can use your active controllers that you already have according to them. Or you can buy their specific one, which I would probably recommend because you're going to want to be able to get the best experience possible for this. And basically, they're like, okay, so I buy a controller, subscription service, what else do we need to buy? And if it's games like Apex and stuff like that, they're free. If it's games like Fortnite, they're free. A lot of games are going to be free because of this, and they're going to target the microtransactions. That's just where everything's going, at least right now. But at the very least, $60 for this game. And they're like, well, what are you going to be playing it on? Oh, well, we got a Chromecast in the living room. We can play it on that. We got a laptop right there. I can play it on that. It doesn't even have to have high specs. That's the big thing. It doesn't even need high specs. That's what's amazing. It's supposed to run at 4K, 60 frames per second, HDR color, seamlessly. I mean, it's all going to be internet related, and I'll get to that in just a second before you go and say, well, there it goes. My internet sucks, because that's a big, like I said, I work for one of the providers. I'll explain something very simple for you real quick in just a second. But the parents are going to be like, I don't have to go spend $300, $400 on a console for you to play with your friends. No. Well, and I don't have to pay any extra devices or anything like that. No, I can play it on my tablet. I can play it on my phone. I can play it on the TV. I can play it on a laptop. I can play it on anything that's got a screen, basically, that has access to a Google platform. That right there is what's going to put it over the top with everything, and its accessibility to everyone, to the point where people are going to be like, when's the PS5 coming out? It won't. That's the thing. There'd be no point. When's the next Xbox coming out? There wouldn't be one. What's the next PC? Now PC's got other uses, of course, so there's still going to be innovation stuff in PCs that people would make people still buy PC components. But like buying it for gaming, there's not going to be a need. Stuff like Steam and Epic's new game store and EA Origin, they're going to have to find some way to integrate with this, because if not, they're going to get left behind, because people are only going to have this platform, and they're all going to be buying it through Google's platform for it, probably Google Play Store, I would imagine. I mean, what else would it be through? And they've already got it set up and ready to go, and then there's no downloads at all because it's cloud-based. Like, you literally hit play, it's there, ready to go. Now, I imagine there's probably going to be some form of an offline mode, so you could download the game and play it while you're offline too, as long as you own the licenses to it. But other than that, like, I don't. There's no downloads, and so, and I know it's hard to believe that would end consoles because they've been around for so long. But I mean, give me the honest truth as to what the use for one would be when I could play on this platform over here on anything, any game that's coming out. As a matter of fact, there's going to be games that come out that are going to be really exciting, over the top and so immersive, and everyone's going to want to be played that the consoles can't handle. And so it's going to be like, well, I can't even play it on that. So why am I going to play that? And that's all. Everything's trend based. So everybody hop ship onto this. What's going to happen? And it's so over the top integrated with YouTube. And I'll get into that in just a second. I know it's a really long video. I'm dragging it out. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm trying to give you guys some information on it. It's gonna, believe it or not, and I hate using this in a sentence, but it's gonna end things like Twitch and Mixer and stuff like that. And the only scenario I see where those hang around is if Google says, you know what, for a large just sack of money, I will allow you to pull your stream key and stream to Mixer or Twitch still, which would be great. I think they should do that. I mean, obviously they have the power to ask for whatever they want to with it if this takes off the way that it might. And I'm speaking theoretically, and this could all be years away, 3 or 4 years from now, even longer. But honestly, if this works the way it should, it'd be sooner than we think. Because they'd have the power to say, no, if you're playing on a Stadia, you can only stream to YouTube. And that's why, like, I've established my fan base on YouTube. Even though most of you aren't active, it kills me too because I've taken too many breaks from YouTube, and that's caused me to have so many inactives. But it's okay. I mean, you guys are there. That means you can maybe somehow graze upon this video or any of my streams at some point because you are sub. But without notifications on nowadays, it's hard to show up anywhere on YouTube. But that being said, like, if everything's gonna transition to this, I don't want to start building a fan base on another platform, and when I already have this one. And that's the big reason why I'm staying. And the reason YouTube's so highly integrated is they've got tons of awesome features. Like, for instance, they've got the stream connect, where like you can play with other people. It's supposed to be like a split screen replacement and kind of stuff like that, where like I can play and the person in the top right corner, I got a little screen, I can see their angle. And their example is like a guy had an overhead view of the map, and he was calling out where people were on the ground for the guy on the ground to see, and they could see each other's screens, and it made it really cool. But what really sparked my interest, and this is something I was starting to think of with the competitive gaming industry, was they had like a fourth person that was watching, because they at one point they had 3 screens on there at once. They had a fourth person that was watching all of it, talking to everybody. They weren't actually playing, but they could set beacons and stuff like that and notification markers on the screen that all the other players could see, but they were just watching. And it made me think, like, right now the coaches, and I could be wrong, they may have a bigger responsibility than I think, but coaches in like esports and stuff like that are there to give you tips after each round and stuff like that and help you out. But what if in the middle of a giant competitive game you have a coach that's also there looking at all of your screens, overlooking it like almost like the commentators, but they actually get to see, got a headset in, communicating with you guys, setting markers, saying, hey man, like if it's a battle royale competitive game, hey man, you pass this up back here, or hey, I think I just seen somebody at the corner over here, and you mark it. Like with Apex, you ping it. What if your coach could ping for you? It's something you didn't see. You're looking at this side of the screen, somebody barely ran by and he's seen that, because I can't tell you how many times, and I'm sure you guys can relate, you're watching a stream, you're like, how did you not see him right there? Your eyes can't be everywhere at once, and if you have a coach that's there helping you out, that's going to be huge. And so the fact that that's something that can integrate it, and that's just the tip of the iceberg with that feature. There's also stuff like, I don't remember the name of it, but a stream queue, where like if you're watching somebody, you can queue in and wait to play with them, and it'll say like you're third in line, and then next thing you know, you're in the lobby waiting for them, and then once they go through the queue, it's your turn. Obviously the streamer probably has to enable that feature, I would imagine. I doubt they just leave that open for everybody. But the good example that they have was like for NBA 2K. Like that's genius. You know, hey guys, I'm playing with subs tonight. 1v1 me 2K right now. Go ahead and jump in and get in queue and just chill out and wait and watch the stream. And when it's your turn, you can see if you can beat me. You know, do giveaways or what have you. There's just endless possibilities with that too. And there's just so many cool features, and they're all tied directly with YouTube. It's got a Google Assistant button on a controller if you buy their controller, where you can, mid-game, they used an example for Tomb Raider. They're walking through, and they hold the button, and it says, how can I assist, or whatever it says, and they're like, how do I get through this tomb? Well, it knows what part of what game that they're in, that they're playing, and it immediately searches and pulls up a video for you. Hey, this is how you do it right here. Follow these steps. You know, like that right there alone. Like, how do I get through Tomb Raider's tomb at this part of the game? Like, you don't even say it. You just, how do I get through this tomb? And it knows where you're at. And gaming developers can mess with that. There's also stream. Oh gosh, what was it called? basically what you can do is you can pause right where you're at in that exact situation you're in. You can share to other people and say, hey, see if you can beat this the way I did it. And they're in the exact same scenario. You don't have to recreate it. Like, literally, they take over where you were. So, like, there are examples, like, if you're in a survival game and you had no health and no ammo and a zombie shows up out of nowhere, and I don't remember exactly what they said, but all you got is, like, a melee weapon. You made it through somehow. Well, somebody else playing that exact same game gets to that point in the game, and they might have all the armor and ammo and health that they could ever want, and they blitz straight through it. But you're like, hey, this was a challenge. I didn't have anything. Can you guys beat this? And send it out. And let people try it, and they literally take over exactly where you left off. And that's one really cool feature that developers are going to have to get really creative with, and I think they'll be able to. And so the possibilities are just through the roof of what's capable here. And that's the biggest reason why I'm jumping. Not really jumping ship. I was going to jump ship to Mixer, but this made me say, hold up a second. We're going to stick with YouTube for now. And if this goes the way I'm thinking it's going to go, and I could be wrong, like I said, this may not work out, but it's Google, and I don't think they'd be attempting it if they couldn't at least present a playable fashion of what they're wanting to present. And the worst case scenario I see here is, well, obviously worst case is it doesn't work at all. The second to worst case I see here is that it's not as innovative as I think it is, and there's not enough room for them to develop endless possibilities like we all think they can because it's limited more than they thought. I don't see that happening. I mean, they've got tests and everything. It's current latency matches in Xbox One X on offline mode, so that's pretty good. So if that's true and they're able to present that on servers across the world at one point, it's at first it's releasing in the U.S., Canada, UK, and a lot of Europe. And what's got a lot of people worried is like, how are you not in China and Japan and Australia, New Zealand, places like that where like major amounts of people are playing this, and so they're like, what? Well, how are you not targeting those major markets? But I don't know, maybe they're just putting their feet in the water over here first and seeing how it goes. If it does good, releasing it everywhere. But I feel like, I don't know. That's one. That's a justifiable argument because I mean, of all, at least pitch Japan in there too. But I don't know. Like I said, I have nothing to do with that at all, and so none of us will know until they see. So hopefully this goes the way I think it might. It's kind of sad too at the other end because it'd be the end of consoles, and I know some people may not take that seriously, but I'm telling you right now, if this works the way it's supposed to, it's going to end a lot of things, and that's kind of sad. But at the same time, those companies at that point would need to recognize the opportunity to jump ship and say, hey, this is what's about to take off. I need to get my foot in here somehow and try to take the lead on being one of the main developing studios for them, because they created their own developing studio too for first party games that they're going to be coming out with for themselves too, because they got to have some exclusives that pull people too at the start, because you got like Zelda and Mario on Nintendo, and you got like God of War and stuff like that on PlayStation, Halo on Xbox, and well, now PC, but still Microsoft. And so you got all these different things that with Steam, but you got all these different things that people are going to that they have, and so now they actually have their own gaming studio too that's going to be making games. And so people are going to jump ship to this opportunity if this works the way it's going to. And if it is, this is a huge step for gaming. And to the point now there's going to be interactive TV shows from it, interactive movies, virtual reality is getting more and more advanced. So it's going to be situations where they can take you places and go places we've never been able to be before or see before, or create these crazy galaxies or universes that we've never even dreamt of, and you get to immerse yourself in those. And so there's just, the possibilities are literally, I won't say literally because there is obviously an end to everything, but like I said, I can't imagine us ever seeing that in our lifetime if this works the way they say it's going to. I mean, this is huge, guys, if it works. But if it doesn't, we'll reapproach going to Mixer at that point. That's why still go follow me over there, mixer.com/IronFistVGP, just in case I do end up there. But as of right now, that's not going to be the case. And just to clarify, it has nothing to do with Mixer. It's an excellent platform. I love the Hype Zone. I really wish YouTube had a version of that. And same with Twitch. They probably should too. But it's pretty cool. I got featured in it at one point, and it was a really awesome experience. So, so no shade thrown at Mixer at all. You guys are fantastic over there, and I really love what you're doing. It's just, if everything's going the way it might possibly go, I'm just trying to get ahead of the gun here and be ready when it fires, because this YouTube's going to be huge. if that's the case. It's already huge, but like the streaming community, everything's gonna go through this. So, I mean, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. This is gonna change everything.